All right, so thank you for tuning into another edition of Casual Highlights, the podcast, where now we are streaming the full episode on the YouTube channel Casual Highlights, as well as the audio podcast on Apple, Spotify, and this podcast we listen to it on audio is part of the BS3 network. You can listen to this podcast and check other shows out as well on your Roku device. Look for BS3 Network, BS3 TV. All right, that being said, let's go ahead and start the show. So today's topics, episode 58. My camera keeps cutting up. If you're looking live on YouTube, full episode edition. This is called Highlight Media Begins. We'll talk about my journey moving into the world of the media business. Give you my NFL wild card thoughts. Darius Miles, former Alabama forward Darius Miles. Ed Reed drama at Bethune-Cookman. My first ever Coach Prime report. Big 12 basketball and the KU State. Last but not least, I'm going to talk a little bit deeper into highlight media. But we begin with the crazy weekend of Super Wild Card weekend in the world of the NFL. So this past weekend, there were 6 games. I went 5-1 on my picks. The one pick that I did not do well with, the doggone Cowboys Bucks game. I literally had to flip a quarter. I picked the Bucks because of Brady. That's the only reason why. Otherwise, man, I probably would have picked the Cowboys. We don't know what Cowboy team is going to show up. Let me just be real about that right now. I don't know what Cowboys. I don't know what Dak Prescott's going to show up. I just don't know. So with that being said, I ended up picking the Bucks. But I'm going to go through each team, and I'm going to give my synopsis on each team. All right, here we go. So, Seahawks, 49ers. One of the candidates for Coach of the Year in the National Football League should be Pete Carroll. The job he's done to trade Russell Wilson to Denver and the draft capital that he brings back, phenomenal. The comeback player of the year will probably, in my opinion, Jared Goff needs to be up there along with Geno Smith. Now, I was leaning towards picking Seattle over the 49ers, but something in me was like, no, do not do that. Because I figured, when it's time for Pete Carroll in the playoffs, it's like he brings the best magic in the playoffs. And in most games that Pete Carroll's teams are in, they go down to the wire. So with that being said, I ended up going with the 49ers instead. And my God, Brock Purdy, the weapons, the Deebo Samuel, the Brandon Ayuk, the Christian McCaffrey, our tight end, Mr. Kittles, the defense, DeMarco Ryan-led defense. San Fran is coming. They put the NFC on notice this weekend. To me, by far, that was probably one of the best performances of the weekend was the San Francisco 49ers. And I know some people have said that 49er fans who come out and said that Kyle Shanahan should be the coach of the year because, he started out with Trey Lance, lost Trey Lance, then lost Jimmy Garoppolo, and they round up with Brock Purdy. And Jimmy G getting traded, he gone, Trey Lance gone. They about to. I'm not going to say they're going to win the NFC just yet. I'm not picking them to go to the Super Bowl. I'm not ready to do that quite yet. I want to see what Philly does this weekend, which I'm going to get into here in just a moment. But my God, them weapons is the 49ers has a feel of the 2012 team a little bit with Jim Harbaugh was coaching. And they had a young quarterback by the name of Colin Kaepernick. But I think Brock Purdy is much better of a quarterback than Colin Kaepernick was. Kaepernick was good, but I think there's something about this kid, Brock Purdy, special. Played at Iowa State, watched him a couple times because he was in the Big 12. So I got to see him several times a year. And them were some of the best teams at Iowa State. But as far as the Seahawks, man, they don't have anything to hold their head down. Pete Carroll was Pete Carroll. I did not have the Seahawks in the playoffs. In the resurgence of Geno Smith, I think they need to get another tight end. I think that they definitely need to beef up the defense a little bit more. You have a great running back in Kenneth Walker III. But the NFC West, man, we'll talk about the quarterback thing on a different episode because the quality of quarterback play is just different now. Let me get to my next team as I to the night game. Now, this is probably one of the most disappointing games, in my opinion, this weekend. I'm very disappointed in the LA Chargers. I figured that because I'm a Chiefs fan, by heart, my podcast show is based out of Kansas City. Casual Hyghlights based out of Kansas City metropolitan area. This game between the Chargers and the Jaguars, I said, man, now I was thinking in my head, I said, I don't know who would be a better matchup for Kansas City. I didn't know if the Chargers would be a good matchup for them. I didn't know if the Jaguars would be. Now some people are going to disagree with me. Okay, it is what it is. But I think we have beat the Chargers before. There has been a one-score game. I thought the Chargers would have been a better matchup because we know the Chargers over the Jaguars. Even though the Chiefs played the Jaguars, to me, the Jaguars' defense is very physical. I think the Jaguar defense is more physical with our receivers than the doggone Chargers. This is my opinion. But now we got Pacheco as well. But anyway, let me get to this breakdown of this game. By far, Brandon Staley is blessed to probably at this time, as I'm recording this, to still have his job. He's blessed beyond measure to still be employed as a head football coach in the National Football League. All you do is just throw your offensive coordinator, Joe Lombardi, under the bus because he didn't run the ball as much second half to take time off the clock. I'm disappointed in Justin Herbert as well. You have these weapons, man. What are y'all doing? They can't. One thing about the Chargers, most of my life as a sports fan, when they were in San Diego, now they're in LA, they seem not to be able to close out. Especially during the Phillip Rivers era. They seem to struggle when it comes to closing. Great teams, the reason why certain teams get further and you have Hall of Fame careers is because the Hall of Famers knew how to close. And the Chargers, time to time, have the talent on paper where they can make a run, but they seem not to be able to close. The great ones have to be able to do that. And your Jordans. Reason why I picked the Buccaneers, because something with Brady, he's a closer. If we go back to the Super Bowl days, if we go back historically to Montana and his ability to be able to close games. If we go back to even look at Pittsburgh Steelers, the Steel Curtain, they were able to close games. Justin Herbert is 6'6", has a world of talent, has an outstanding arm, and I'm thinking, the AFC West, it's about to be the wild, wild west between Derek Carr, between Justin Herbert, Russell Wilson, and Patrick Mahomes. There's a coach out there who called Mahomes a gimmick quarterback, but they know how to close games. Yeah, Mahomes had 41 touchdowns. 30 of those touchdowns were for like 15 yards or less, those type of stats. But they still know how to close. This is what happens when you separate the men from the boys, the contenders and the pretenders right now. And the Chargers was a pretender, because they're not able to close and took their foot off the neck of Jacksonville. And you knew Jacksonville was going to make a run. You knew Jacksonville was going to make a run. Doug Peterson, he's another candidate for Coach of the Year. The job he's done with Trevor Lawrence, and by far, I think Trevor Lawrence will go down as a better quarterback than Carson Wentz. I guarantee it. We don't know pre-ACL injury of Carson Wentz what would have happened if Carson would have stayed healthy. We don't know that, the type of beating that Carson Wentz has taken. But this Trevor Sunshine Lawrence, this game should have been over. 3 interceptions, and then the Chargers go back second half, you get the ball 2 or 3 times. Instead of scoring 3 points, score like 2 more touchdowns. That game should have been over with. I did pick Jacksonville because Mike Williams wasn't playing. But the Chargers, 3 interceptions on Trevor. Bro, come on now. Chargers go home. Jacksonville goes on to Kansas City. Boy, Chiefs fans, I know we're going to be all right. But this right here, this Chargers team, when they played us in November, look, I'm more nervous about the Jaguar game than the Bills. All right, let's go to the next game. Let's go to our Sunday game show. The Dolphins and the Bills. I should have took a nap during this game. I was supposed to take a nap during this game. And I wake up, I said, wait a minute. The Dolphins are down up 20-17? Wait a minute. It's something that has happened with Josh Allen. It is like Josh Allen has regressed a little bit, in my opinion. He has all the assets in the world, all the resources around him, and he has regressed, I feel like. Why are you fumbling the football? You've been in the league for 5+ years and you're fumbling the football twice? It's one thing to fumble it one time, but you fumble it about 2 or 3 times, bro. And there was a scoop to score another one. Dog, something's going on. Y'all better figure this out before Cincinnati. Cincinnati ain't playing with y'all. Joe Burrow is that dude. We'll get to Joe later. We'll get to Joey B later. But I gotta take my hats off to the coaching staff of Mike McDaniel and the Miami Dolphins in the job that they did getting this team ready to play. They need a quarterback. All right. Tua is not that dude. I'm sorry. Especially with all the concussions right now, Tua needs to go sit his tail down somewhere and let it go. Teddy B wasn't ready, and then Skylar put up a good game. Skylar put up a performance. Shout out to him from Independence, Missouri. Fort Osage, where he's from. Shout out to him. But Mike McDaniel had a great game plan, and we could say that they outplayed the Bills 3 times. They lost by 3 the second time in Buffalo, and they lost by 3 the third time up in Buffalo again. So the Bills need to be on their A game now when it comes to the Bengals. We're going to talk about that game here in a minute. But I feel like the Bills was feeding off what the press was saying, that Tua wasn't playing, and they took Skylar as a joke because the previous week they only scored 9 points to get into the playoffs. 9 points. 9-6 and the Jets lost. Yeah. But yeah, Bills won that one. Now let's get to probably another game that I enjoyed watching. It was very entertaining. Was the Giants and the Vikings. Now, as we know, coming into this game, a couple things. We know that the Vikings, the Fortunes the year before, they lost 8 games of 7 points or less. And this year they've won 11 games by 7 points or less this year. They were able to close and to finish. Come from behind victory. We were like, oh, Captain Cousin, had his little cousin drip on. They got T-shirts in Minnesota. Captain Kirk. But I never forget the stat of Kirk Cousins only has 1 playoff win. I'll never forget the stat. He struggles in prime time. So we got this team start up, and I picked the Giants to win this one. I said the Giants are going to win this one because when the Giants played the Vikings back on Christmas Eve, the Giants were coming from behind to beat the Minnesota Vikings. Or was it the vice versa? But anyway, the Vikings had to kick a field goal in order to win the game. And I said, I'm thinking to myself, they might see them in the playoffs, and the Giants are going to give them the business. Brian Daboll is a coach of the year candidate. I think he would probably. I think if we was to pick who would win it, and it would go in this order, I think 1 would go to Brian Daboll, 2 would go to second place would be Dan Campbell, very close, 1 and 2. Pete Carroll 3, and Doug Peterson 4, or really Pete Carroll 4 and Doug Peterson 3. But it's going to be a very tight race for the coach of the year. But, Brian, you see what has happened in Buffalo, the regression of Josh Allen. There's coaching that's involved. You have great players, but you also have coaches to put your players in position to win. We cannot forget the coaching. The coaching, by far, is just as important as the players. Players make the plays. Coaches can sometimes lose the game, but that's why coaches have to back off and let the players make the plays. You want to talk about coaching? Let's go to basketball. Phil Jackson has 11 rings as a coach for a reason. Jordan needed a coach. Shaq needed a coach. Kobe needed a coach. And there was Phil Jackson. Phil knew what buttons to press and when to take his hands off. As we see this particular thing with Brian Daboll and Daniel Jones, and I'm going to say this. It was a couple of years ago. I picked the Giants to make the playoffs, and they didn't. I felt like, man, that Daniel Jones was close, and people were like, "Oh, Al, you are tripping right now. You don't know." I said, "Man, I think Daniel Jones could be that dude. I think he's a better version of Alex Smith. When you put the right coaching, the right teachers, people get stuff done." And I believe that Brian Daboll has released Daniel Jones. I think week by week he gave him a little bit more and built his confidence up. And then the quarterback coach came from Kansas City, by the way, the offensive coordinator. The name is Cliff. I can't think of the guy's name, the offensive coordinator. Comes from that Andy Reid tree. Yeah. But Saquon Barkley, you got Galloway. The Giants find ways to win games, and the defense is feisty. Not the best defense, but they make plays when they need to make plays. But it also helps when you playing up against a quarterback who on 4th and 13 or 4th and 10 or something, he throws a 5-yard out to a tight end. The tight end's not even close to the first down yard, like for 6-yard gain. And we're not even throwing past the first down marker on a 4th down. Come on now, who does that? Poor Adam Thielen, Darvin Cook, Jordan Jefferson. No, I said Jordan. Justin Jefferson. And that defense is not the same as it used to be. Yeah, you got an offensive-minded coach, more creative, Kevin O'Connell. I think he's done a great job. He might get a vote for Coach of the Year too, winning the NFC North. But tell you what, them Giants are something else. That's going to be an interesting game. It's hard to win the National Football League. It's hard to beat a team twice. If you beat a team 3 times, you is a bad team. And we're going to see what happens this Sunday with the Philadelphia Eagles take on the New York Giants. That Sunday night game, don't have much to say about that particular game. Baltimore and the Bengals. I think the Bengals did not come to play. I think the Bengals were blessed with certain turnovers and were able to win the game. Baltimore can't throw the football. Baltimore has no weapons and they can't throw the football because the way that the offense is built around running. Baltimore's offense reminds me of watching Nebraska football back when Tom Osborne was coaching and they ran the damn option all the time. That's what that offense reminds me of. Oh, Lamar Jackson is exciting. I probably have to make a special video about Lamar Jackson. I've never really been too impressed with Lamar Jackson. I think he's a pretty better version of Cam Newton, but I wasn't really impressed with Cam Newton either. Anyway, let's get back to this game. I think Joe Burrow is ascending. I think Joe Burrow can probably, at the end of the day, where the quarterback for the Chargers, where he was at, I feel like, I can't think of that boy's name right now. Justin Herbert. I feel like where Justin should be at right now, that's where Joey B is at. Joey B has taken his spot. And if Herbert doesn't figure that stuff out with the Chargers, Trevor Lawrence is going to pass him up too as well. I truly believe that. And I believe Joe Burrow might even be better than Josh Allen. Cool in the pocket. And I believe he is a true old school type of quarterback, throwing the football, able to make passes when the plays need to be made. I believe Joe Burrow is that dude, and he got the weapons: T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Jamar Chase. I believe he has the weapons to do it. They just need to come to play, man. Neither the Bills nor the Bengals came to play, and those games shouldn't have been even close. And they both. And so if it's hard to win the National Football League, we can't underestimate it. You still got to come in and put the work in, and then get your mindset together to do what you need to do. But we got to give credit to Baltimore because they did show up, and they nearly pulled off an upset in the making in the Queen City. Last game, the Monday night game between the Cowboys and the Bucks. I flipped the court. Man, listen, I went with Brady on this one just because it was Brady. I didn't know, I could have picked the Cowboys because I went back to the first game of the season and the Cowboys didn't show up. But I forgot, teams usually do get better over time from the first game to the, week 19 in the playoffs. You have an 18-week season. Teams do get better. The first 3 weeks of the season is sloppy. This NFL year, the first month of the season was very sloppy all over the National Football League. Why? Because people don't do preseason. Players don't play players in the preseason. I think that's bogus. I think players should play a little bit more in the preseason. It's period. Injuries are going to happen. Injuries happen in practice. So I just think that's just I'll speak on that later. But the Bucks and the Cowboys, this is my thoughts on it. I think Todd Bowles is not a head coach. I think every week when I watched Todd Bowles on that sideline, I said, no, this is not. No. You have to have somebody, the body language of your coach, of your leader, even in organizations in life, how your leader moves is how everybody else is going to move. Yeah, you got the golden Tom Brady. Okay, yeah, Byron Leftwich, and he's going to take over the offense. You take over the defense. But that man, when Bruce was in there, it was a different type of fire in there. And then Todd takes over as coach. He ain't got the juice, dog. I think he's a great coordinator, but he ain't got the juice as a coach. And I still don't know about Leftwich yet. I haven't put that one together. I mean, he had the golden Tom Brady, but and Tom Brady, bailed him out because they shouldn't even been in the playoffs. The NFC South was a show. It was a bull show, a BS show that was going on in the NFC South. Man, I struggled picking games in the NFC South this year because the team that you expected to win didn't win. The time I wanted to pick Tampa Bay didn't show up. I said, wait, what's going on in Tampa Bay? What is the problem right now out here? And we saw it live on Monday Night Football. Secondary got lit like the 4th of July out there. They got lit up like the 4th of July. That's what that was. That's all it was. So as I digress, thank you for tuning in to another edition of Casual Highlights. This is really a show where we educate, inform, and inspire while having casual conversation about sports, life, and giving you I'm a busy person who works a full-time job, have a business on the side, family obligations, that type of thing, and I give you a casual perspective on what I see. And that's what the show is about, Casual Highlights, but still having fun talking sports of what we as the fan might see. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this. I got to get a swig of this water. This Darius Miles stuff, this Alabama, this is very sad. This is absolutely tragic on all areas, and it's disappointing. This player by the name of Darius Miles, make sure I got, because I'm thinking of Darius Miles, the basketball player, and I don't want to give credit to the wrong individual. But yeah, this player from Alabama, him and his homeboy was down there, and they decide they killed a young woman. Excuse me. They killed a young woman by the name of Jamila Harris, 23 years old. Now, Jamila was out visiting a relative. She was out visiting her cousin who went to the University of Alabama. And Jamila was with her boyfriend, and they went, and they were hanging out, went to the club and all that. And these two dick wipes decided to come up and in so many words, hey, what's going on? We try to holler at you. What's going on? And they didn't want no interest. Boyfriend pop out the window. Hey, man. Hey, we ain't about that life. She got a man. They got men. Bye. And so between that exchange, Darius and this other gentleman, let me make sure we get the names correct. I want to make sure I get the names correctly so we can give credit to where credit, BS to where the BS is due at, so we can call the BS out. Darius Miles and Michael Lynn Davis. So Michael Lynn Davis apparently used Darius's gun, shot the car up, shots were fired back and forth, and killed the 23-year-old woman. The 23-year-old woman, Jamila, had a 5-year-old son to fend for himself. Darius Miles outside hollering, man, get off that, dog. This is the lesson that we need to learn. Everybody needs to learn from this. We need to watch the company that we keep, number one. Apparently, Darius did not understand the company that he keep because his homeboy came to come down here and visit him, took his gun, went up there and shot him in the face. So now you associated because he took your gun and they went about their life. And you decided to go up there and shoot this woman and shoot up the car. And there was shots returned back as well from Jamila's boyfriend, apparently shot back out. That's the story I'm reading. But dog, Darius was on a full ride scholarship to Alabama. You playing top tier amateur basketball in America. You're playing in one of the best conferences in America, the SEC. Full ride. You're getting NIL money. You're probably getting money under the table still, which really, ain't really under the table no more because everybody getting paid, And you can't watch the company that you keep, dog. Oh, by the way, you in Alabama. The way they wrote the article was dismissed from the team immediately because you charged with capital murder. Them schools in the South, they don't play with you. Oh, yeah, you're a good basketball player. Oh, he killed somebody else. We ain't messing with him no more. Deuces. And charged him with capital murder because the company that you keep, your future was bright. You decided to bring your homeboy who's a dick white with you. See, we got to educate our kids, man, and these young people about, man, the choices and the decisions that you make. Y'all didn't hear about the boy in New Mexico State? Now I understand the part about protection. Like nowadays, more people do carry guns because people out here crazy. People psycho in the head, man. People throw it off. You got to protect yourself. So part of the story that I do want to understand though is okay. The women in the car, y'all went up to the car, and y'all was like trying to talk to them, and y'all said, "Nah, we don't want to talk to y'all." So what when the car was about to pull off with Jamila and the cousin, what made the other group of people block y'all in? What else happened that night? So see, I believe some of this stuff is ignorance on their part because they pulled a gun out and ended this stuff. But something else is not. It's a piece of it that's not being told right now. Was old boy looking at you the wrong way? And if check this out, and if they told you no, why didn't y'all behinds go find somebody else? It's 1 a.m. in the morning. Man, you could have went to Montgomery, Alabama State. You wanted to go talk to if your boy wanted to go find a woman to go holler at. Man, y'all could have went to Starkville. Y'all could have went to Auburn if it was that serious. But y'all, so what else? Okay, put it like this. What else on all seriousness was said? Is this right? Like reading this particular story, man, this is absolutely ridiculous. This is unbelievable. Like a woman lost her life to ignorance. This woman lost her life to ignorance, man. This woman, Jamila, should still be here with her 5-year-old son, taking him to daycare, reading him a bedtime story, talking to her mom and stepfather. But nah, you want some BS. And let this be a lesson to anybody who has these type of opportunities. You have to see who's for you and who's against you. And sometimes, hey, Judas might be your best friend. That's not preachers gonna need to start preaching about. Easter coming up. They're gonna do the Black Friday, not the Black Friday, the Good Friday service. And talk about Judas. This needs to be a great example of Judas. Y'all not looking at these stories like Henry Ruggs and the player from New Mexico State had to pull the gun out, man. Y'all not watching, man. There's a target of jealousy on your back, you athletes. There's a target of jealousy. People don't like you because of what you're getting. There's a spirit. As people at the University of Alabama right now don't like the athletes there because of all the attention that they're getting, all the NIL money, free education, room and board. They getting cars given to them and all that. They got homeboys back home. You have to be careful, man. Men and women, you have to be careful. Man, thoughts, prayers, and condolences, man, not only to Jamila Harris's family, but also thoughts and prayers goes out to the Alabama players, man. Go out to Darius Miles' family. Goes out to Michael Lynn Davis' family. Man, my heart goes out to those players. And then those players still have to answer sometimes questions about the coach, Nathan Oates, man. He has to go console his team because of what his player went through. Think about the emotional pull from the University of Alabama in that men's basketball team. Think about that for just a moment. Think about that. I'm pulling this up because I want to make sure that I have the right. Yeah, okay, Darius Miles. I wanted to make sure I had the correct player's name. I wanted to make sure we had that distinction correct. All right, so which leads us to the next topic. We need to talk about Ed Reed. Ed Reed, about a month ago, accepted a job to become the coach of Bethune-Cookman, the head football coach of Bethune-Cookman. Now, apparently he went on a rant on his media post. And he talked about how the coaching offices were not clean. He discussed about, the football players outside cleaning up the place. Apparently, he hasn't been signed. His contract hasn't gone through his head coach yet. So business-wise, okay, let me go business-wise. Most times when someone is being hired as coach, it does take time for the board. Sometimes now, the board has to approve the hiring of the coach. And the board also has to approve certain boards, when it comes to the states, they have to approve the hiring of the assistant coaches, how much that they're getting paid. It sometimes depend on, how everything is set up from looking at other coaches. They might have not had all the money, had to go raise the rest of his money, just like they did in Colorado. That's most schools might not have the money to pay the coaches out. That's just what it is, But back to Hall of Famer Ed Reed, and he was like, Deion was right about the facilities and about the lack of funding and the lack of things that's going on. Here is just my thoughts about this situation with Ed Reed. And some people have been hollering. Some people have been hollering saying, "Well, why did you sign the why you ain't on contract? So why you cleaning? Why didn't you go to the facility first?" If you know business, most college coaches, I'll take it back to like Brian Kelly, or we can even look at it as Coach Prime. They didn't look at the facilities of the new location until after they agreed to be hired, and they came down for the press conference, and they were on tour looking around at the different facilities. That's just how the business works. It's like, hey, either you're going yay or nay to it. Well, can I go look at the facility? They don't have time. AD is trying to, fill, things out for like the roster, early signing period, all this good stuff. But let me give you my thoughts on Ed Reed in this situation with HBCUs, because I went to an HBCU. We don't like to be called out about our stuff. The Black institutions, it is what it is. It is behind. Ed Reed came from coaching at University of Miami, 5-star, top of the line. How should we say this? Sometimes to bring the best out of people, businesses and organizations, you need critics. You need critics. Deion said it in a graceful way. And part of the reason why Deion knew how to scope and say those words is because, he had been, when he retired, he went right to media. He worked at CBS with the NFL Network, had good relations with other business people, and has been critiqued in that area. I don't know much about Ed Reed and what he has done since his retirement. I know he coached football and worked with young people, so I don't know his connects like that, like Deion, was well connected in Deion is well connected in all facets of entertainment. Deion is a household name. When you say Deion, you say Kobe, you say Jordan, you say LeBron, you say A-Rod. That Deion name pops in people's households. Ed Reed, Hall of Fame, but his name doesn't pop like that. But he was giving a critique as to what he's reporting, what he's seeing. And he spoke out of his frustration. He came back and did apologize about it. And some things need to be called out to the carpet. And sometimes the administration and the board keeps doing the same stuff over and over again. That's why at certain schools, presidents are usually in and out in 2 years. The HBCU I went to, man, they went through like in the time I was at the HBCU I went to, they went through like 4 presidents. President tried to bring change. They go up to the board, don't like it. Then they find, oh, he got to go. He got to go. She got to go. No. They got to go. I don't like them. I don't like the attitude. And what has happened is the other PWIs, the private schools, they have surpassed these particular schools. Deion gave us Coach Prime gave you all a blueprint on what to do and how to market and how to change the game up if you want some of the best athletes to come to HBCU schools. There's 107 of them. It's just not, now let me educate y'all. It's just not the SWAC and the MEAC. It's these other smaller tier schools as well. You got the players washing the uniforms after their game. You have you don't have athletic trainers on the sidelines if somebody injures themselves. That's why Master P's son left Tennessee State, because he wasn't being treated right for his foot. He had I think an ankle injury or something, knee injury, and it wasn't being treated right, and he had to Master P's son ended up leaving Tennessee State. Another athlete who was McDonald's All-American, I can't think of the played at Howard, and he only played 7 games. But they didn't have the facilities to treat that. So we need to go back and find out, okay, where is this money going to the athletics? What's going on? Okay, you playing all these money games to get money for your athletic department. Okay, how is the money being distributed? When there's checks written out, are we writing the check out to Howard University? Or are we writing the check out to Howard University Athletic Department? Or are we writing the check out to the Howard University football team? And if we're doing, I need to see where my dollars are going. And I also need this stuff to be improved. See, what has happened is this is just my thought. I believe that we have taken and not poured back into our students because we have a poor mentality. And when that was said, I felt every bone in my body felt that, because it is true. Most of us have a poor mindset when it comes to money. And that is not just a mental thing, that is a spiritual thing as well. You know how I know? Because I went to that school and I had that mindset. And I'm working every day to get better, to be set free from that mindset. And we as Black people, business owners, entrepreneurs, we have to get out of that mindset of a broke mentality. And everything Ed Reed said. Now, Ed Reed might have, came hood with it and said what he said. He's like, hey, this is some BS. But Ed Reed, man, I ain't got nothing wrong with Ed Reed now. Could he have said a little bit different? Yeah, he could have been a little bit classier. And sometimes you don't have to get on social media and tell what's going on. But he got bucked with somebody who made some comments. He told you how he felt and he let it rip. But overall, he's giving a critique of what he sees. And many times, anytime somebody come out and say that, he cares about this. He wants to coach. I believe he wouldn't be out there saying this. He wouldn't have accepted the job if he didn't want to be there. And he wants to be there to make a difference, to make an impact, until it's time for him to move on. Because I don't believe Ed Reed's going to be there forever. Contrary to belief, he's not going to be there forever. But Ed Reed wants to make a difference. And you got to have the resources to do that. Ed Reed probably ain't got the connects like Coach Prime do, to bring some people down to get the boys suits and fix the football. Man, he ain't got it. He might not have it like that. He might not have the personality to do that. That might not be him. And we talk about, there's this, a lot of people pushing to HBCUs because of the shooting of George Floyd, and everybody, hey, let's go to HBCU because, white folk don't care about us. But is the HBCUs ready for the influx of students to come in there? And you got busted up facilities. You in classes with 40 people, and you sitting up there like sardines in 100-degree weather in a hot room. And you all squished in like this, and you can barely breathe in the classroom because of facilities. Yeah, states funding can be cut, but you also have other things called alumni who fund stuff. You have endowments, you have all this type of stuff. This is the business side of it. And I don't think we're not fully educated when it comes to business, and we don't understand business. I think number one we need to do is break the spirit of poverty off the Black community. That's the biggest thing. Then when we're doing that, and as we're breaking the spirit of that, you break it when you go read books about business, when you understand about financial literacy. It's gonna take some man. You got to work on that. We as Black people have to work on that. And Ed Reed used something different. Ed Reed ain't used to this, so he said what he had. What was said. Let's get to, speaking of Coach Prime. I think I'm gonna start a series each week on the show. We're gonna call it the Coach Prime Report. In today's Coach Prime Report, I'm gonna talk about the Amazon series entitled Coach Prime documentary that was on Amazon Prime. I'm gonna be real with you. I didn't really care for it. I think Bleacher Report, not Bleacher Report, but Barstool, when they put it online, I know Coach Prime wanted to get more eyes on the documentary on Amazon. Yeah, it's ranked number 2. It's ranked number 2 because everybody want to come check it out and see what's happening. But to be honest, I don't know. I don't think it wasn't the best in my opinion. If I was rated between 1 and 10, I would give it a 6.5. And with extra credit, I'd give it 7 out of 10, but it wasn't the best in my opinion. I just didn't care for it. I felt like they kind of rushed through each game, the anticipation of practice. I think they rushed through a lot of that stuff. I think Last Chance you did 4 episodes. I think they could have did 8 episodes. And we could have saw a little bit more game action, the preparation, that type of stuff. Coach Prime headed to Colorado. You know, you show the end of the game. And maybe part of it, in my opinion, could have been that I follow Well Off Media. I follow the pregame. Shout out to Well Off Media, the pregame, and the other brother, Darius Sanders, and his YouTube channel. So we kind of knew what to expect from it. So maybe I probably was spoiled from a spoiler alert that I saw everything already. And we know about Travis Hunter. We knew about some of these characters, these coaches and characters too, from not Bleacher Report. I want to say Bleacher Report, but Barstool from last season. So we kind of knew about some of these players already. But I didn't really like. I'll tell you some of the things that I did enjoy with the documentary. I did enjoy that I got to see Tracy Edmonds. That was dope. You know how that Tracy Edmonds was still standing by his side. I enjoyed the part about Deion's family. Relationship with all 5 of his children. I did enjoy seeing that about his son. I did enjoy that, but I think it was just rushed. I think they should have stretched it. They should have stretched it out to 8 episodes, in my opinion. And this is just something that might be down the road. They need to probably do, if you're listening, Coach Prime, if you're listening, Bucky or Shador, Grown, Bossy, they need to do a show called Keeping Up with Coach Prime. The Kardashians did it. Why can't Coach Prime do it? Keeping Up with the Prime. Keeping Up with Coach Prime. And then, you got a little snippet over here from Bossy, but because we grew up with Deion. I grew up with Deion. I remember Deion when he was in San Francisco. Our little dude in elementary school watching him play. And everybody at school had Deion Sanders shoes on. I didn't have his shoes. And he did the little Road Runner commercial with Nike. Remember that Nike he did it with? Yeah. And he had like a Jerry curl. He had a Jerry curl in the 80s when he first came to the league, And he had the little video, must be the money. I've grown up with him. And so, like, people grew up with the Kardashians. So people, this younger generation can grow up with Keeping Up with Coach Prime and his family. And then they still had a little social media following, Well Off Shador has a little following, Shiloh has a little following, that keeping up with Coach Prime be something good. All right, let me get to 2 topics we got left. I want to talk about KU K-State game. K-State won the game last night. As I'm recording this on a Wednesday. Big game, Sunflower Showdown in Manhattan. In the Octagon of Doom, Kansas State won by 1 point over KU. When it goes back to Allen Fieldhouse, I'm not giving. I said KU by 10. But I thought of something. When I talked about earlier in this episode that Bill Self, we have closers. KU might not start off, might be down 14 to 15 points, but they're gonna make a run, and they know how to close. They know how to close. Kansas State saying, "Oh yeah, we here," and it's a big thing when you beat Kansas. Everybody storms the court. So I'm looking at you all right now. If you're looking at me on video, when was the last time Kansas Jayhawks stormed the court at Allen Fieldhouse? When was the last time? The dominance in the Big Eight from Roy Williams, Larry Brown, Roy Williams, all the way down to Bill Self, and he's been here in Lawrence for 21 years. When was the last time that they stormed the floor at Allen Fieldhouse? They ain't got to storm the floor at Allen Fieldhouse. You know why they got to storm the floor at Allen Fieldhouse? Because they know how to close. They know what time it is. They know how that blue blood knows how to get it done. The Big 12 will still go through Allen Fieldhouse. There's some things changing now. Don't get it twisted. You got your Baylor, you got your K-State over there in Manhattan. Iowa State trying to figure it. They've been trying to figure it out, but they poop the pants every time. You got to get them diapers when they come to Allen Fieldhouse. You do got your Hilton Magic up there in are they still playing at Hilton Coliseum? I don't think they're playing at Hilton Coliseum no more. But Iowa State is a different. Ames ain't nothing nice to play up in, man. West Virginia can be a tough game, but I'm looking forward to Houston. I'm looking forward to this Big 12 next year. Houston, Cincinnati coming in here. I'm looking forward to what they're gonna do. Not Utah. BYU and basketball, bruh. I'm looking forward to that. But as I digress, I'm gonna talk about Jerome Tang for a little bit as well. Jerome Tang remind me a little bit of Dion, just a little bit. But the passion and the energy that he brings, when he did that first press conference, I said, "Oh yeah, K-State going to the NCAA tournament," because his passion for his job, his passion for those kids, his passion for winning carries on the court, and you see it in their heart. You see they play hard every night. And that point guard from New York, that boy bad. Yeah, Keontae Johnson, yeah, Keontae, that dude. But that point guard is the heart of that team. He the heartbeat. And we see little we call him Little Tang. I think Marquise Noel, I think his name is Noel. Little 5'7" from Harlem. Just hard, just getting it. He's the little general on the floor, getting them together. And so I believe in the next 5-10 years, there can be a changing of the guard in the Big 12. But right now, it comes through Allen Fieldhouse. It does. Texas Tech got a bow. Texas got a bow. Kansas State got a bow. Iowa State all bow to Fog Allen. Point blank period. Everybody bow to Fog Allen. Fall in line to Fog Allen. But they're coming. And what they got to do is they got to out-recruit. NIL money has changed the game. You got to be able to speak the kids' language. And it can be changed. And we'll see what happens. We'll see how much longer Bill Self will be here. as coach of the Jayhawks. We'll see. He'll be 60. Well, he just turned 60. How diggity dog? Or is he 59? No, he's 59. Self is 59. But the changing of the guard will come. It's coming. But they got to be able to close. Don't poop your pants at Allen Fieldhouse and finish. You close and finish, and you make the shots you make in the first half, and don't get uptight. You got a chance. Kansas State. I still got you losing by 10. But most teams, they be feeling themselves because, oh, yeah, we beat them on our court. Oh, yeah, we beat them on our court. We're about to go to the field house and whoop them. You go to Fog Island, no, sir. That Fog Island built a little bit different than the Octagon, than the Hilton Coliseum, then Waco, Texas. Built a little bit different, but I'm waiting on Houston, though. Anyway, as we digress, I'm waiting on Houston. All right, so I'm in the show like this. I started this podcasting journey back in 2019 with a show called The Casual Highlight. It was just a podcast only. And then I began to expand to bringing in guests. I began to expand to the YouTube world. Now I'm expanding, and once I'm starting the highlight media. We'll still do podcasts on the BS3 network for audio, but I'm venturing at this time. I've been venturing doing different sporting events for games as part of my media outlet to go to different basketball events to not only just take, because my emphasis is basketball, not just take pictures, but also do journalism work as well. So I'm excited about it. I'm excited about networking, meeting other people in the field of sports, not just at the Division I level, but NAIA level. Also, some professional games. Also, I went to community college over the weekend. Shout out to KCK Community College for having me take some pictures there, men's and women's team. And so I'm excited about where Highlight Media is going, the YouTube channel, Casual Highlights. I'm still going to give you, we're always going to educate, inform, inspire, uplift while having casual conversation in the world of sports and life around us. Looking forward to that. So just keep the show, keep the media mogul in your thoughts and in your prayers. And that's all I have for y'all on this week. Divisional games coming up. We have the Cowboys and 49ers, an old school rivalry. We have the Jaguars and the Chiefs. We have the Eagles and the Giants. And we have the Bills and the Bengals. Enjoy NFL weekend. Enjoy some basketball. Listen, it's been my pleasure to be on this platform with you. Follow Casual Highlights, YouTube. Also check out the show on audio, Apple, Spotify. Go to bs3network.com and check out Casual Highlights and all the other great content. Till next time, my name is Al High. Y'all, disrespect your senses.